Welcome to How to Retire on Time, a show that answers your questions about all things retirement, including income, taxes, Social Security, healthcare, and more. This show is an extension of the book, How to Retire on Time, which you can grab today on Amazon or by going to www.howtoretireontime.com. My name is Mike Decker. I'm the author of the book, How to Retire on Time, but I'm also a licensed financial advisor, insurance agent, and tax professional, which means when it comes to financial topics, we can pretty much talk about it all. That said, please remember this is just a show. Everything you hear should be considered informational, as in not financial advice. If you want personalized financial advice, then request your wealth analysis from my team today by going to www.yourwealthanalysis.com. With me in the studio today is my esteemed colleague, Mr. David Franson. David, thanks for joining me.
Hey, yeah, glad to be here.
David's going to be reading your questions, and I'm going to do my best to answer them. You can send your questions in by either texting them to 913-363-1234. It's 913-363-1234. Or you can email questions to heymike@howtoretireontime.com. Let's begin.
Hey, Mike, how do you figure out how much you will spend in retirement?
This is a common exercise and a common question that people go through. It's interesting. There are two camps that I find with people that I work with. One camp seems to be extremely diligent in tracking every penny they spend. I've met people that had Excel sheets basically going as far back as Excel was invented. I mean, just years and years and years of tracking every penny. And some people just know that they're making more than they're spending, and they're just kind of okay with that. It's this group that tends to have the issue of, well, how much will I spend in retirement?
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So let's go through an exercise that you can do if you're in that group, or maybe you're not. Maybe you just want to do a budget exercise. I wouldn't even call it a budget exercise. It's more of a spending awareness exercise. We're not going to try and restrict your spending. We're going to try and understand your spending. And then we're going to be able to kind of bring it back and talk about what to do with this information. So first off, here's a fun exercise. Go to your bank, go to your credit cards companies, and just print off the transactions that you've spent on all of them for the past 3-4 months. You can go back to the very beginning of the year. You can do a 12-month look back, but I think 3 months or so, you can start to pick up trends. And then what you're going to do is you're going to just take it, and you can either put it into Excel, or you can just handwrite it and kind of calculate things, whatever's simplest for you, whatever you're more familiar with, and start putting things into different categories. Now, for me and how I recommend putting together spending plans, I would call them 2 spending plans or 2 buckets. You've got your lifestyle spending, which is flexible, completely flexible. It's not committed in any way. You can change whatever you want, the different amounts in different categories. And then you've got your committed expenses. A committed expense means you really have no say over the matter. You're going to pay your mortgage, right? That's a committed expense. It's a part of your monthly cash flow regardless. If you have a car payment, that is a committed expense. If you have student loans and you're helping out your son or daughter, utilities typically fall under committed expenses because most people like the lights on.
Yeah, we do.
And they like the water running. So when you understand your committed expenses, you now understand the baseline of things that just have to get paid for. Food is not in the committed expenses category. Why? Because food is such a lifestyle variable. Some people, when they retire, want to eat out a lot. That's a lifestyle decision, and so it might be larger in the spending plan. Some people are extremely healthy and say, I don't like eating out. It's too greasy or too many calories. The portions are too big, and they prefer to eat inside. They prefer to cook, and they prefer to spend their money in different ways for their lifestyle. So it's more of a flexible plan. It's not that you won't spend money. It's that you have the ability to make changes. So maybe you say, our expenses are X in the lifestyle side of things, but I really, really want to go on this cruise. I know it'd be kind of tight. Let's just eat out a little bit less this month and next month and just start saving some money. Maybe that will put us over the gap. You can see where this is going, right?
Yeah.
The lifestyle is flexible enough. You can start adjusting things to get more out of your money based on your current cash flow. When you start to understand these 2 dynamics, then you can start to shape your retirement. Let me dive down to each one and how it translates to retirement. Many people retire with a mortgage. Many people get a new mortgage when they retire. They refinance into another 30-year mortgage or a 15-year mortgage or whatever it might be. We just need to calculate for that. It's not necessarily wrong. We need to understand how to live within our emotional and economic limits. Some people are comfortable emotionally with a mortgage in retirement. Some people would just prefer to have that paid off. Everyone's different. But that's kind of the idea is you need to understand your baseline, the things that have to get paid so you're not destitute. You're not getting kicked out of your house. You're not getting foreclosed, things like that. And then the lifestyle side of things, you need to start to think from an abstract position. If I had more time, would I spend more money? So let me clarify what that really means.
Yeah.
Some people, when they retire, want to just travel the world. In those situations, their lifestyle spending plan will probably increase when they retire because they have more time. They want to do other things that they would not be able to do while they're working. Other people, and this is actually more common than I think is publicly accepted. Many people don't care to travel. They don't care for the long trips. They love their garden in the backyard.
Right.
They love the fishing trips that are within their area. Apparently, there's a lot of great fishing, at least here in the Midwest, right?
Yeah, there is.
Or a hunting trip, or they have very cheap hobbies. And this goes back to the study that was done years ago that claimed money can't buy you happiness. Well, that's not true. What the research actually found was at a certain point, once your basic expenses are covered, so you can afford food and shelter and your basic needs, more money will only help certain people become happier. So someone that just cares about fishing and maybe a Top Golf membership, they live a very simple life. They don't know what to spend more money on. And so increasing their retirement income isn't going to make them happier. So it's not necessarily important to them.
Sure, yeah.
But for other people that have charitable intent, they want to be very involved in the community and want to be able to gift their money, and that brings them happiness, then more money is going to be more important to them. Everyone is just so different. And so you got to understand first, if you have more time, how does that affect your lifestyle spending plan? How much of a burden do you have in committed expenses? And then you can start to shape what your retirement could look like.
Yeah, so I guess that is a little bit of a cliche, at least that I have in my mind, of retirees with their like sort of safari hats on and their cameras around their neck, right? And they're off.
The American cliche.
Yeah. But one thing that my mother and my in-laws have been saying lately is that airports aren't for old people. Too much walking, too long distances from the gate to the baggage claim, and so they.
That brings up actually an important point. The first couple of years of your retirement, your lifestyle spending plan, while you're healthy, might be excessive. Because at some point, you're not going to be as healthy.
Right.
You're not going to want to run through the airport, like Home Alone, dashing through to try and catch your flight or whatever it is. The connections through Atlanta that are always so stressful. So this dives into even more specific planning in retirement is maybe you increase your lifestyle spending plan for the first 5 years so you can really get the honeymoon season out of the way for retirement and then settle back into more of a day-to-day lifestyle that's still fulfilling. It's still wonderful. It's purpose-driven, but maybe you don't need to spend as much. That spending more isn't necessarily going to make you happier because you're already happy. And then on that study real quick, there are some people that are just always nervous. They're always stressed out. They're always anxious. Money can't fix all problems. There's also some self-evaluation, some I don't want to say therapy. I'm not a therapist, but just some behavioral shifts that may need to happen just to be happy. And that's a whole nother conversation for itself. But just as a quick summary, if you're trying to figure out how much money you need to spend in retirement, download some statements, break it down, look at your lifestyle spending plan and a committed spending plan. Break those into two, bring them together, understand where your money would be going, figure out if you had more time, would what you're spending on be sufficient, or would you want to spend more on other things? And how long would you want to continue spending more money on those other things? That's the idea. And then you got to take that and then put it into a plan. Then you look at how to get more out of your hard-earned money. And then you start talking about investments and products, how to bring it all to life. That's all the time we've got for the show today. If you enjoyed the show, consider subscribing to it wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for How to Retire on Time. Discover if your portfolio is built to weather flat market cycles or if you're missing tax minimization opportunities that you may not even know exist. Explore strategies that may be able to help you lower your overall risk while potentially increasing your overall growth and lifestyle flexibility. This is not your ordinary financial analysis. Learn more about Your Wealth Analysis and what it could do for you, regardless of your age, asset, or target retirement date. Go to www.yourwealthanalysis.com today to learn more and get started.